This is Hans Hansen with Fix It San Francisco for another episode of how we can fix San Francisco in relatively short time frames to get our city back up and running again. Again, I applaud our mayor for doing such a fantastic job getting our city up and running. We are now starting projects including the renovation of Fisherman's Wharf, but there's one street in San Francisco that is really in total neglect that needs help, and that's Broadway Street in San Francisco. Broadway Street in San Francisco was originally the Barbary Coast. It's always been nightclubs, bars, strip joints, all the way up until the early 90s. And then in the early 90s, you started to see, changes of way people like to entertain themselves, and this area started dying and declining. And then after the COVID of 2020, this entire block is essentially dead. So what can we do about it? Where can we look at to see what could be in terms of Broadway Street? And I think you need to look at Nashville. Nashville, Tennessee has a street by the name of Broadway. And what it is, it's an absolute fantastic entertainment venue with bars, restaurants. Things are happening there. They closed the street down on Fridays and Saturdays, and it's nothing but one big party. I envision our Broadway Street to be very, very similar. It all fits. We've got restaurants already set up. We've got bars already set up that have been closed, so it'd be easy to get those things up and running again. You could also compare it to New Orleans, where you have Bourbon Street, same kind of thing. I can envision this street being closed on Fridays and Saturdays and one big block party, and then the rest of the time it would start reinventing itself with more activity. So what would be involved to get this thing up and running? We need help from the city. We need to have a master plan of how this area can be regenerated, and I think a public-private partnership to get this thing up and running would be the way to go. I think that there would be enough interest from bars and restaurants to come here if there was a plan of action, maybe some incentives to come here, including financial incentives, tax incentives. But I think we can get this thing done. And I think it can be done relatively quickly because, frankly, all the infrastructure is already here. It's just a question of updating. So it's not like you have to build this from scratch. So that's the idea for this month, is let's turn Broadway Street into a Broadway Street in Nashville, a Bourbon Street in New Orleans. Let's create this as an entertainment mecca. It would feed so perfectly into Columbus and North Beach, where you're starting to see some real synergy going on there with the activity you're seeing on Columbus now, on Green Street at night. It's really happening there. It would be so easy to move that crowd down to Broadway Street and really create something dynamic for the city and county of San Francisco. What can you do to help? Write letters. Write to the letters of the editor, write to the mayor, write to the board of supervisors. Tell them, look, this is a great idea. We should promote Broadway Street and its revitalization. I look forward to seeing you again in January. Hope you have a very, very nice holidays. And thank you for listening and watching.